Hey everybody, this is Andrew from TS for Tech, and in today's video I'm taking a look at a monitor from a company called InnoView. Now I have done some reviews of InnoView portable monitors on the channel before in the past, and I will link to those in the card above so that you can take a look at those if you want. Now what's actually interesting about this InnoView monitor is it's actually two monitors, right? So it's a folding monitor. So actually two screens that fold, and you can kind of use it in a few different scenarios, right? So you can have like a vertical mode, a horizontal mode, where it's like a clamshell. You can flip it over and have like a two-sided monitor. So if you had two people looking at it, one person can view from one side, one can view from the other side. It's actually a pretty interesting device. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and unbox this, and then I'm going to actually test it out with both a Windows machine here. I have a laptop from Ace Magic with Windows 11, and then I'm also going to check it out with a MacBook Pro. So we'll go ahead and do a few tests, I guess, and just show you how it works and talk through this as we go. So I'll go ahead and open this up, and we'll take a look at what we get here. So the model is actually InnoView, so INVP M009, and the screen size is 15.6 inches times 2, right? Because there was two of those. The resolution is 1920 by 1080. It has a 178 degree viewing angle, refresh rate of 60 hertz. The color gamut is 120% of sRGB. So that should be pretty good for color reproduction, you know, more vivid colors and all of that. Has a static contrast of 1000 to 1. Has built-in speakers, two speakers. Can rotate 180 degrees. Product weight is around 1,500 grams. So we will talk about this, but you do need to use a driver for this, right? So if you have basically Windows, there's a Windows USB driver. If you have a Mac, there's a Mac OS driver, and then there's also, you know, you have to have screen recording permissions and all of that. So there are some things to set this up. It's not necessarily just plug and play because it's unique, right? It's not just a single monitor. So you get the monitor itself here, and then inside you have some cables. So you have a USB to USB-C, you have a USB-C to USB-C, HDMI, and another USB-C to USB-C. So you have a few different cables. Now it does say that you can just use this with one USB cable. You shouldn't have to use the power cable. So if you want to use the USB-C to do this, you can do this with one cable. So you don't have to have multiple cables. Now, if you want to use HDMI, then obviously you will need a USB-C to power it as well. So keep that in mind. If you want to use HDMI, you will have to use the USB-C cable to power it. But if you just want to use the USB-C, it should work with one cable, which is what I'm going to do. So if you go ahead and open this up, the interesting thing is it kind of feels like it's basically kind of feels like a laptop. Yeah, basically kind of just looks and feels like a laptop. And I can't tell. This seems like it's made out of like an aluminum metal, so it seems like the whole thing is metal. And it doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels pretty good. Yeah, and then basically what you got is two 15-inch monitors, 15.6-inch monitors, and then there's this back piece on here that has a stand that kind of rotates out. Right, so you can do this, like I said, multiple ways. So it's got a stand if you need the stand. There is a vase mount as well. So the 4 screw holes there. So if you want to mount this on something, you can. On the side here, you do have a headphone connection. You have a couple buttons, so power button, and then like an up-down button for navigating some of the on-screen menus, I would assume. And then you have 2 USB ports and an HDMI port. And here on the bottom, you can see there's probably some speaker holes there, those little slots. So yeah, so this is really interesting. So you can do things like this. You can set it up and have it just by using this stand here. I'll have to move my table a little bit. So you can kind of set it like this if you want. So then you're looking at it and you have kind of like a angled view. Basically, you can turn it into like a tent sort of thing, so it's like that. You could then also kind of make it go horizontal if you'd like. So you can stand it up like this, a vertical view. This does have a rotation sensor in it, so if you had it horizontally and then you moved it vertically, it should shuffle around the screens, which is actually pretty cool too. So as you can see, this, by the nature of this being like folding like this, you can do all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of like an origami sort of thing. So what I'm going to do first, I'll just kind of set it up like this. Something like this so you can see. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. And what happens is when you connect to it via USB, you'll see there's basically a USB display that shows up as a mounted hard drive. So you'll see there's a hard drive or an external drive US display. And right there's a DMG and an executable. So since this is the Mac, I'm going to go ahead and double click that. Go ahead and run the package to install it. So then you see there's a software from HiFi AWE chip semiconductor that started to run in the background. And then I do need to restart the Mac. So that while that's recording, I'll just kind of take a look here. So there's a couple different modes that we'll look at. One's duplicate mode, which is basically duplicate everything on each monitor. There's an extend mode, where then you can obviously extend your desktop. And then there's a split mode where it looks like it will take whatever's in that monitor and split it over two. So if you had a large application running over here, it'll split it on those two monitors. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. And it is hard with the brightness here, but I do have the brightness on the monitor turned all the way up. And so basically what happens is once you plug this in and the default mode is extend, I guess, for the Mac, you can see like I have this Google browser window here, and this was dragging it to the left. So it was on my main monitor. I dragged it to the left and it ends up on the bottom one. Now, if I want to get it back over on the top, I just drag it to the right of my monitor. So basically this sets up by default as this is right of your main screen and this is left of your main screen. And so basically, I guess the way that this works though for Mac is Mac only does the extend. So you can see on this side and you can see on this side. So what it looks like is for Mac, you can only extend your desktop, right? So you can have these as three separate displays and it will flip around when you do this, right? So it does flip. So if you want to use this as kind of like that tent mode, I guess, like the A-frame, you can have different things on either side. I mean, you can do some mirroring, switching around. So maybe I take that back. That's what the instructions say, actually, basically from InnoView. They say only Windows supports main and secondary screens using the same screen. But obviously, you can do a lot of stuff using... So with Mac Sonoma, and I don't know if this is with prior versions either, like you can basically go in and say, what do you want each one? Use as, if you want to have a mirror of... So here I have mirror of InnoView 1, where I can say, extend display, mirror for built-in display, or mirror for the other one. So you can do some stuff with it. But the one thing I did notice is it doesn't support the vertical mode. It's only the horizontal modes. So with the Mac, I guess it does have maybe a few limitations over Windows, like I said. So I will try to do that in a second. But and I guess you can't do the extend mode across the two. Yeah, so with the Mac, it seems I can select either one of these. So for instance, if I select the bottom one, so I can change the rotation using the Mac, but it doesn't do it automatically. So standard rotation, 1920 by 1080. But for this InnoView one, I can say I use it as an extended display. I can mirror it for the built-in display. So if I want to mirror the Mac screen there, I can do that as well. Or I can mirror it for whatever is on InnoView 2. And then if you're on the InnoView 2 one, I can basically use it as an extended. I can make it my main display. I can mirror it for the built-in display, or I can mirror it from this one. So basically, I can mirror these two things back and forth, or use it as an extension of the main display, or mirror the main display. So there's a few different permutations of what you can do with this on a Mac. You can also change the color profiles and all of that. So that's actually pretty interesting. So the only problem though is like when I do this, I cannot set up a situation where this is fully one application across both of those, is what it seems.
Hey everybody, this is Andrew from TS for Tech, and in today's video I'm taking a look at this mini PC from a company called Ace Magician. So I've done quite a few videos on the channel featuring Ace Magician.
So one thing is the speakers are decent, but they're not super loud. So that's one thing. It sounds okay in the room. I'm sure you cannot hear it on the camera microphone, but it does sound okay in the room. So here I have Google in this playing a full screen YouTube video. The bottom is still just an extension of my desktop.
You can take a look at this video. So this one in particular is probably one of the more...
So that works like that. So that works pretty nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to hook up the Windows machine and see if that is any different. And then after that, what I'll do is set this up just on the table, and I'll try to get a better view, maybe use my phone or a different camera just to record the screen as I'm using the laptop. And then you can see a little bit better how this looks because, again, I'm sorry, the bright lights here kind of overpower the monitor. So here I have the monitor set up with Windows PC, and I have kind of the main monitor as number 1, and then number 2 and 3 on either side of the main monitor, and they're both selected to extend to those desktops, right? So as you can see here, dragging either to the left or to the right will be able to place onto this device. So you can also then put it in a tent mode. And what I did notice is it doesn't automatically flip over the display here. You have to do it manually in the Windows settings, which you can do that. You can rotate, you can rotate the image. So I thought that was a little weird. It did work correctly with the Mac, by flipping over. So something to note, just something that I noticed. Now here you can obviously then drag like a Chrome browser or Edge browser to that screen, and you can then drag it to the other side and do that as well. What I should have probably done in the device settings is actually just put both of those screens to the left of my main screen here and then put them on top of each other, which is, I guess, probably a better way to do it. But, for here, this is what I was just kind of messing around with. In a later part of this video where I did like the stretching across the top to the bottom, I'll show you how that is set up when I get to that point. Now you can take this and then turn it vertically, and as you'll see here, they kind of reshuffle. And, you can have it in a portrait mode, which that just automatically works, so that's nice. And then you could flip it back, and it should go back to the horizontal view. So obviously you can do something like, put a Chrome or Edge browser on the top, play a video, do that full screen on the monitor while you're then working on the other two monitors, the main monitor on the desktop or laptop, and the other monitor on this InnoView device. So these are always fun to unbox and look at. So it does give you a lot of flexibility with the two added monitors that you can, target with different content. So here you have, a video on top, a web browser on the bottom, and then the desktop of the laptop doesn't have anything on it, but you could obviously understand that you can set this up many ways. So you can also extend vertically if you set it up this way, where you have the main laptop screen and then number 3 on top and 2 on the bottom, and then you can just stretch a web browser or any other content from the top to the bottom. And as you can see here, it spans both of the screens, right? So this is a way that you can kind of split content across both of them just by setting it up that way in Windows. Now, this does not work this way for Mac. So this is only available with Windows to do this split, from like a top to bottom view. So while I was playing with this and using it after that initial video, I found that this is actually a really pretty cool device. What I really like about it is that it does replace kind of that triple monitor setup that I've seen in some other videos and whatnot, where it kind of sits on either side of your laptop and there's some way that it clamps on. And so you have like this three monitor array. I never really was interested in those, and I thought it would be super clumsy to use and whatnot. But I think that this kind of solves that, right? Because it's its own standalone monitor, and you have a bunch of different ways that you can configure this. You can kind of have it as it's standing there, where you have 2 horizontal monitors, one on top of each other. You can do that tent mode. You can lay it flat. You can flip it on its side so it's a vertical monitor. You can do all kinds of stuff, right? It's very flexible in how you set this up with the kickstand and then the way that the monitor can swivel around. So from that perspective, it's much more of a versatile option if you're looking for multiple monitors for your laptop or your computer. I mean, this doesn't actually honestly have to be used just with a laptop. You can use it with a desktop, etc., if you want to have a little more desktop space. So overall, I was really surprised with this. I really do like it, and it's built well. It's kind of made out of aluminum and really nice materials. And yeah, definitely could see myself using this and continuing to use it in the future for all kinds of things. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post those below and I'll be happy to respond. I'll link to this in the description of the video if you want to take a look at it. I think there are some coupons. You can see here on Amazon, there is a coupon available right now, so you can get a little bit of a savings on this. And I'm sure there'll be some sales coming up in the future here with Black Friday and end of year, Christmas types of things and all of that. But yeah. This is Andrew from TS for Tech. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.